If you're just getting into real estate or have been around real estate for a while, you may have heard other investors mention the 70% rule when talking about deals they're considering buying. In this installment of my Chalkboard Real Estate Investing series, I'll explain what the 70% rule is and how you can use it to help you in your real estate investing journey. So let's jump right into it. The 70% rule is a guideline that real estate investors use to determine whether a potential investment property will be financially viable. It's based on the idea that the purchase price of a property should be no more than 70% of its after repair value, ARV, minus any expected repair costs. The 70% rule of thumb is most frequently used by flippers and wholesalers in order to arrive at an estimate of the maximum price they can offer to a prospective seller for a particular property. A modified version of this rule can also be used by buy and hold investors like myself who follow the BRRRR strategy to build a rental portfolio, allowing them to pull out all of the purchase and rehab money during the refinance stage. Here's how the 70% rule of thumb works in practice. First, you need to determine the ARV, or the after repair value of the property. This is the estimated value of the property once all necessary repairs and renovations have been completed. To do this, you can consult with a real estate agent or appraiser, or use online tools like Zillow or Redfin to get an idea of what similar properties in the area are selling for. Next, you will need to come up with an estimate of the expected repair costs. The best way to do this is to do a thorough walkthrough of the property with your contractor or contractors and come up with a scope of work and get quotes from them on the expected cost of the renovation. Once you have an estimate of the ARV and the repair costs, you can use the 70% rule to determine how much you should be willing to pay for the property. Simply multiply the ARV by 0.7 and then subtract the repair cost. The resulting number will be the maximum price you should be willing to pay. For example, if the ARV of a property is $200,000 and the repair will cost $50,000, following the 70% rule of thumb, you should be willing to pay no more than $90,000 for it. $200,000 times 0.7 equals $140,000. $140,000 minus $50,000 in repair costs equals $90,000 maximum purchase price. If you're a flipper, when you go to sell the property in this example, and if all goes well, you should be able to make a $60,000 profit minus any closing and carrying costs. $140,000 total investment, $200,000 sale price, and $60,000 difference. If you're a BRRRR investor, you should be able to refinance and pull out all of your capital or your private lender capital if you use the private lender at the time you refinance the property with a bank. Depending on the loan to value ratio required by your bank, you may even walk away with a little bit of cash at the time of closing. The local credit union we use for all of our refinances offers an 80% loan to value ratio for their loans. So in this particular example, we would have borrowed $140,000 from one of our private lenders to finance the purchase and the renovation of this property. Once the property was renovated and rented to tenants, we would apply for a cash-out refinance loan with the credit union. 80% of $200,000 comes to $160,000. This would be the amount that the bank would be lending on this property. The private lender would get paid back the $140,000 plus any interest they are owed at the time of closing. The closing costs associated with the refinance would also be paid from the remaining $20,000, and anything remaining after that would go to us. Some banks may only lend at 75% or 70% loan to value. You should shop around and see what terms banks in your area offer for cash-out refis on non-owner occupied properties like this. But generally, you should be able to find one that does at least 75%. In which case, if you follow the 70% rule to come up with the maximum purchase price, you would do just fine. Of course, you need to keep in mind that the 70% rule is just a guideline and not a hard and fast rule. There may be circumstances where it makes sense to pay more or less for a property, depending on various factors such as the local real estate market, the condition of the property, and your own financial goals and resources. So why do real estate investors use the 70% rule? Essentially, it's a way to ensure that you're not overpaying for a property and that you will have a sufficient cushion should something happen with the deal or the market that you did not foresee when you go to sell or refinance the property. In summary, the 70% rule is a useful guideline for real estate investors to consider when evaluating potential investment properties. However, it's important to keep in mind that it's just a guideline and there may be circumstances where it makes sense to pay more or less for a property. Thanks for watching this video. If you got value from it, please leave a like, subscribe, and check out the other videos on my channel where I dive even deeper into various real estate investing topics and concepts.